You are now tuned in to the Believe Network. Do you believe?
Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Head over to the website or use your mobile devices to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline's your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage. It's the best in the business. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. I'm your host, Polina Edmonds, and today on the pod, I'm super excited to introduce our guest that I'll be interviewing today. He is the 2022 U.S. silver medalist and the 2022 Junior World Champion. Everyone, Ilya Malinin is on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just got back from practice, so I'm feeling really hyped about this interview.
Of course you are. Right answer. All right. Well, let's kind of uncover a little bit about yourself. So when did you start skating? And how did you get into the sport in general?
Well, I think I started skating when I was like 5 or 6, and so I've been skating for 11 years. And I didn't know that I was gonna do skating because my parents didn't really want me to do skating because since they, went through everything, like training, so I don't think they wanted to really go through me. But once I stepped on the ice, I kind of enjoyed it, and then I started skating a bit more and more. So eventually I started skating where I'm at now, like 2 times a day, 2 hours each day. So
Very cool. Your parents are involved in your coaching, correct? Are they your head coaches, or
yeah.
what's the dynamic coaching wise for you?
Well, they are my main coaches because it's easier because they understand me, they have more time and you don't have to pay. So, it just works out a lot easier. But I do have other coaches, choreographers who help me, like do programs and then, other stuff. So, they're like the main coaches, but I also have other coaches that help me out with stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was the same way. My mom was actually one of my head coaches, and then I had a number of people working alongside her to help me. So it was really a team effort. But what is that dynamic like with your parents? Because I know it can be extremely hard to work with a parent. You can kind of talk to them in a way that you can't really talk to other adults, which can make things really challenging, especially when hard work is involved. So how do you kind of manage that relationship with your parents?
Well, obviously, like you said, it's kind of difficult to because again, with parents, it's a bit different. You act differently. But in general, it's pretty good relationship. I used to listen to them because they give pretty good advice. Sometimes, my lazy self will like click in and just be like, I don't want to listen to them. And then I'll regret that because then I'll like fall on a jump when they say, don't do this, but I did it. So it helps a lot that they're, because also mentally, they kind of know how your day has been and just like they know how you feel. So even if you have a bad practice, they'll understand why. And it's not just like, your coach guessing just like, oh, he's having a wonderful life. And like, so they basically just like, they just like know how you feel at that moment or in time. So it's just better connection wise and like mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would totally agree. I always also felt that my mom knew exactly what page I was on when I was skating, so she could see deeper than other adults around me. I know you've been consulting with Raphael, right? So kind of talk about that. How long have you kind of been working with Raf, and do you plan to continue getting coaching advice from him in the future?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been working with him for maybe 1 or 2 years. So I mean, I've had a bit experience with him, but I mean, it's not like every day that I get to see him.
Hmm.
Usually, it's when I have like spring break or like a break from school because I go to public school. So when I don't have to go to school or just like if there's nothing that I'm really doing at school, I might go to California and go to his right rink and he'll just help me out. Not only him, but also his team because he has, I think, a choreographer and another coach. So they also help me out a bit. But I think he's mostly, helps me not only with like skating itself, but like also like kind of like how to get like a mindset and just like strategically.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the reasoning that you chose Raf as somebody to go and consult with?
I don't know. It's because I mean, my parents they knew that him for like a pretty long time, so they're like
Gotcha.
best friends and like friends. So,
Hmm.
I mean, what really happened was this was at novice nationals when I competed. It was in Detroit, and he was there because I think Nathan was there too. So
Hmm.
they were practicing, and at that same time, it happened that I was competing. So I'm pretty sure that like him and Mitch were there, and my parents just basically asked them to like, you know, watch because they knew that, or sorry, Raf knew that like my parents had like a son who was skating, but he didn't really have like an idea of it. So, I mean, at nationals, I mean, I did all right. I got third, but it wasn't the skate that I wanted it to. So, I mean, after that, we kind of just, like communicated with him. And then eventually I went over to his rink and started, training a bit more, getting some advice from him.
Hmm. You were then a little bit off again, on again with injuries, right? Kind of leading up to this season. So how did you feel on the junior Grand Prix circuit, before the second half of the season, just kind of getting back into the groove and competing internationally?
Well, I'd probably say that even like it was a bit different and difficult because especially this was, after COVID.
Hmm.
So again, I barely had any competitions. In fact, I think only had like one competition, which was Skate America when everything was locked down because of the injury. So I didn't go to nationals. But I mean, I was pretty well getting prepared for the Grand Prix circuit and France, I was feeling good. So, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. But again, I skated kind of bad at France. So, I mean, I wasn't really happy with it, but I mean, it happens. So,
I mean, it's all about the curve, right? It's all about really getting yourself to the second half of the season. And you qualified for the Junior Grand Prix final, right? Even though
yeah.
it didn't get to happen, that's still huge. Uh, all right, question. How fast do you learn your jumps? Obviously, you go by Quad God on Instagram. You have all of your quads. So what age did you land your single axle, your double axle, your triple axle? And then when did you start getting quads?
That's a hard question because I don't think I'd remember when I landed singles or doubles. But I mean, I probably I don't know. I'm not too sure, but I think there's a rumor that I landed my single axle a week after I started skating, or like a
Wow.
month after I started skating. So I don't know. It's one of the two, but I learned it pretty quickly. That's all I knew.
Hmm.
But I mean, after that, it was kind of a long journey with doubles and just. I mean, I'm pretty sure I qualified for my first juvenile nationals with just doubles,
Yeah.
and because it was funny. So I actually have a funny story that I want to talk about it too. So
Mhm.
this was like juvenile was when I wasn't like serious about skating. It was kind of just for fun. I mean, I did what like some local competitions. I enjoyed. I was like, oh, I want to like skate. I want to do competitions. So my parents like, okay. So they signed me up at regionals. So I was like, okay, let's see how he skates there. And then I was like, oh, he plays fourth. Okay, I guess we're going to sectionals. And the same thing really. So at sectionals, I was like, oh, he plays fourth at sectionals. I guess he's going to nationals. I mean, that's crazy. So, I mean, I think my parents from that moment when I made nationals like the very first time kind of realized, like I had a lot of potential in front of me. So, I mean, the next year I came back, won juvenile nationals with two double axles, which I'm pretty sure at that time was like a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I won by a lot. And then intermediate year, I also won nationals with a pretty big lead. And then, yeah, so from there, I think in intermediate, I was
How old were you?
10 or 11, around 11, I guess 10 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I landed double or triple sow, triple toe. And then I think from there, it just kind of slowly progressed. I got loop after that. And then, or actually, I think I landed Lutz and then loop and then flip.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Is Lutz your favorite
yeah,
jump?
I mean, it kind of is. It's like fun. I mean, at that point, it was pretty fun,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, after that, I'm pretty sure I landed triple axel at 13.
Okay.
And another funny thing was this was at a competition warm up.
Okay.
So this was at a practice ice for a competition. I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of feeling myself that day, and I was like, oh, because I'm pretty sure one of the other skaters there, Will Annis, he was there, and he was doing triple axles. So I was like, I don't know, I feel pretty confident today. So I asked my dad, I was like, can I try a couple triple axles? Because I mean, before that, I was practicing at home, falling, just stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then it's like, I mean, sure. So the first one I went to, I landed it, and like that was pretty crazy. I was like, oh my god.
That's awesome. The adrenaline helped you.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny. I had a similar experience when I was, I think my first year junior, I was 12 and I landed a triple Lutz in the warm up and I always missed it at home. But again, 6-minute warm up, the adrenaline, it really helped me. But yeah, that's a clear sign that you as an athlete seem to thrive under that like adrenaline stress, which is a really important quality for competing. That's really cool. So you started working on quads around the same time as triple axel, or did you wait until the triple axel was there before you started trying those?
I mean, I can just say like the whole story of
Yeah,
how
yeah,
I
go for
started
it.
landing quads. But I mean, I started doing sow once I landed axle, so I was practicing it, and then I landed a couple sows before quarantine, but unfortunately quarantine happened, so everything got locked down, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, even that I had sows pretty good, and then I was doing toe loops, which was when I started
Mhm.
going to RAF, and there he helped me, get some toe loops, and then unfortunately COVID hit, and then so basically I was off for 6 months. So during that time I was just doing off ice, and for some reason I think that actually helped me because it gave me a tiny break. So then I think the day like couple weeks after I got on the ice, I got my triple axle back, triples, and then after that I got Sal, and then before the I don't know if you remember like the virtual competition that
Yeah.
all the seniors did. And before that I got my toe loop.
Wow.
So that was what 14, 15, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I think after that it just started kind of progressing a lot, and then I got Lutz, and then did I get Lutz first or Loop first? I don't remember, but I think
Hmm.
I got Lutz first. Yes, I got Lutz first, then I got Loop, and then Flip, and then
Hmm.
Axel.
The
So
axle is crazy, by the way. Congratulations. Quite a moment in
thank you.
history that we're all living in, that your name gets to be tied to. So it is outstanding. But we'll talk about the quad axle a little bit later. But no, I think
Okay.
it's interesting just to know, and I think for people to hear the progression of like kind of the timeline of you getting your quads, what age you started working on them and how long it took. Because, to everybody's knowledge, just watching you kind of pop out onto the scene in senior this year, it seems like, oh my God, like this kid just has them all. When did he get them? Like, did he get them super recently? But
I got all of
yeah,
them in a
it's that
day,
easy.
just
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
easy. And
Yeah, it's work. And it's very, very impressive that you've been able to accomplish it all at the age that you are. So very nice. Well, let's talk about your nationals experience this year. So going into it, what were your intentions heading into nationals?
I mean, well, again, on my mind was Olympics. So I mean, you know, that wasn't like my main goal, but I mean, another goal was to kind of just skate pretty good because I was preparing pretty well and I was very well prepared for it. But again, it was also, like my year back. So again, I was kind of a bit more careful with training so that, I wouldn't get injured right
Mhm.
before nationals. So I did a pretty good job, but I mean, I was, I'd say like I had a couple injuries, small injuries, but I mean, I didn't really get that stop me. So I just, kept practicing. And then I got to nationals. I was like, oh my God, I'm like prepared. So, I mean, like in general, I was just hoping to like skate clean for both the short and long to like put out one of my best performances, just, get it. Because I wasn't expecting to skate that well, especially since before those, I didn't really have a consistent like season with the four quad layout that I had. So at that time, like it was
Mhm.
kind of new to me. But I mean, I worked on it, every day, practice programs, and just I mean, I guess I kind of got lucky, but at the same time, I
Mhm.
prepared for it pretty well.
Yeah.
So I ended up skating like one of the best shorts and longs of my life, even though I'll be honest, the long was not perfect because I missed one of the jumps. I did a double instead
Mhm.
of triple one of them. So
Mhm.
that might have caused me the win. I don't know, but
Oh, sure.
but again, Olympics was
Cool.
coming up, so again, I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to show, even if I wasn't gonna get sent at that time, that I was coming up, gonna be the part of the
Mhm.
next generation of skaters, and then second place. Where did that come from? Like,
Yeah. Well, so let's kind of talk about obviously you knew you'd be age eligible for the Olympics, even though you're really young. And you had all the goods, you had all the potential. It came down to whether or not you were able to hit on the ice, right? And then that's the dream that you do. And then they send you. Um, how did it feel after the short program specifically? Because you had that fantastic skate. And then you were third heading into the free skate, which is huge because that kind of already puts you in contention in the free skate to battle it out for a spot. So, how did it feel going into the free skate after being received so well in the short program?
well, I mean, I kind of want to talk about right after the short. So,
Yeah.
right after I skated, I'm pretty sure Jason Brown was gonna skate. I mean, like I think right
Mhm.
after or a couple skaters after. So, me and my dad are seeing the kiss and cry, and we're just, like, oh, like this was like right after. So they didn't announce the scores. It was pretty good. There we were like, because we always guess the scores what we're gonna get. So we were like, oh, what,
Sure.
90, 95, something like that, and then what was it, 103? We were like,
Hmm.
what? And then so we're like, okay, that's fine. And then we were like, oh, I mean, fourth place is pretty good because we were just gonna be like, oh, Jason's gonna get ahead of me, and then 100
Hmm.
points. So we're like, oh, we beat Jason. That's shocking. Like to this day, I was never expecting to like place that high. I still can't comprehend how I placed at nationals, but it was pretty good. And then going into the free skate after that, I was definitely, pretty hyped. And, I was talking to my dad, like, oh, I mean, I can probably get like third in the free. because we were expecting Vincent to pull off like a good skate that he did, in the short, similar to like the short. So we are like, oh, third place at nationals pretty good. Fourth place is two. And then, I mean, when we were warming up, preparing for the ice, I mean, it was kind of hard because I was skating after Vincent and right before Nathan. So, I mean, it was pretty nerve-wracking. And the thing is, sometimes, like, when I watch skaters, it doesn't really bother me and, like, it doesn't get in my head. I basically turn into, like, a normal, like, skating fan, just wanted to watch the skating.
Sure.
So I kind of, like, the last half of the Vincent's program, I kind of watched, and then I saw, him started doing mistakes, and I was like, oh, this is, like, pretty unusual. I mean, like, I was thinking, like, I felt bad. Like, I don't think, like, how could you not feel bad for Vincent at nationals? Because, I mean, like, you work so hard and then it happens. So right before I got on, I don't know, it just came up in my mind. I was like, I could be second. And I was like, I gotta skate clean if I want to be second, or like just place on the podium, because obviously. And then skated the program. It was pretty good. And this was when Raf, both times, the short and long, he was there for. So I noticed that like halfway through the programs, he was like, I remember my dad telling me, Raf came up to me, he was like, he's gonna land everything, I can tell you that. I mean, so yeah, halfway through the program, I noticed him. My dad's like cheering me on, clapping as I'm going through the footwork, and then that just gave me, like, to focus up again and then go for the last three jump elements. And I basically skated clean, and then everyone was excited in the arena. And I mean, I guess so in that, when I got into Kiss and Cry, we were like, that was pretty good. Wow. So again, we weren't expecting to get third place or second place. So we're like, oh, third place. I mean, come on now, that's pretty good. And then at that time, I was in first. So we we're like, whoa, this is like crazy. Like, what? We were like in shock. And then Nathan, I was watching Nathan from the side, and then he had a couple of falls, just some mistakes. And then I was like, first place? What is this? The first year back, I'm about to win nationals and beat these three amazing skaters. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone could beat Nathan at that time. So, I mean, I got second, which is still pretty good. And then, after that, we were thinking Olympics. Like, my dream was going to finally come true, and I'm about to go to the Olympics, like, it's going to be such an amazing, like, time and year. And then,
and then, well, of course, it's super interesting to hear you talk about that, because similarly, my experience in 2014, when it was my first season, after the short program, I was in second. So that was like, oh my God, if I just skate clean, I might land on the podium and I might get selected to the team. So super, super, like, side-by-side comparison. Very, very interesting to hear you talk about the excitement and kind of like being among skaters that you just want to watch, like, you're a fan. It was the same for me. And it was just such a crazy, crazy time. But walking off, you think like, oh my God, I might get named to the team. And then that's a whole waiting period now, right? Because did you have to wait, a few hours for the decision to be made?
I think, like, it wasn't a few hours, but I know it was some time. But I mean, I don't remember like exactly, but I remember, I was brought with like Mitch. We went somewhere, and then we were just talking about like the decision, like what are we gonna do.
Okay.
I don't know if this was like an official decision or just like, so I mean, we're just talking about, I mean, I still didn't quite understand like to this day, I didn't understand like why I didn't go. But I mean, obviously, I thought about it. I mean, I could have, but also, like it makes sense that I'm not going. So, and it's kind of hard to explain, but I mean, I think
Mhm.
you understand what I'm talking about. Like, it's kind of
Yeah.
like it makes sense, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always going to be reasons that people will come up for any skater not making any team. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It obviously it sucks to not be named to the team, especially when you were that close and you kind of did everything you were supposed to, and then it just, the cards weren't in your favor that day, right? Did you ever have anybody come to you specifically before the official announcement of the team happened, like the press conference, or did you just find out when the press conference happened, like anybody else?
I just, remember, I mean, it was Vincent. I'm pretty sure we were in the locker room talking, and this was again when he, kind of screwed up on the lawn. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, like, I think he was being serious, but like, hey, man, you just qualified for the Olympics. Like, I'm pretty sure this was like right after. So it wasn't like an official decision. But I think,
Yeah.
even he thought that I should have gone. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy and surprising that, Vincent, who is like pretty good and, high level athlete that I also looked up to, told me that, I could be going to the Olympics, like, or I should be going. So, but again, I'm not like sort of sure, like at that moment, what happened if like I got told I wasn't going or just, I remember this was, I think, when everyone left. Pretty sure, Vincent came back in the locker room and I asked him, who's going. So, or like this was before the press conference.
Yeah. Got it.
So,
So Vincent basically was the one to break the news to you, essentially.
yeah.
Dang, that's crazy, dude. Well, yeah, I mean, I can totally tell you, like, a lot of people obviously were very impressed with your skate and thought you should have been on the team. But yeah, I hadn't been following skating the last few years since I retired. But this like past season with kind of this podcast and me covering skating in different avenues, I was hearing a lot of buzz about your name leading up to nationals, but I'd still never seen any footage of you because I wasn't covering men's skating in the junior division up to that point. And so I was just shocked and like extremely impressed watching you live at nationals. There's nothing like seeing skating live, even through a screen, it's different. So it was a very polarizing decision. I think a lot of people agreed and a lot of people didn't agree. But at the end of the day, there's still so much to be done within your career. What was your reaction like immediately versus now, right? So you've had time to kind of process the news. So you clearly you feel one way, but what was the immediate reaction when you found out at nationals?
I mean, it's kind of like hard to explain again, but I mean, I was I was disappointed, but at the same time, I kind of wasn't like heartbroken, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I mean, like that wasn't like my main goal to nationals. My main goal was to skate clean, and obviously, I mean, I kind of did that. So I mean, it's just at that time, it was kind of like it was a like it's a bummer that I didn't go, even though I skated this well and my season was pretty good and like all.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like it was a bit upsetting. My mom was definitely the most upset. She
Oh,
she she still kind of is pretty upset about it.
I mean, who wouldn't be, in that position? But I think one of the reasons that you do feel kind of like mixed about it is because you still intend to continue skating, right? Like you still know that you have a career ahead of you versus for an athlete who um, maybe this is their last season and then they want to stop or they can't even imagine having to do another 4 years to try to qualify again. That's where it becomes a lot more heartbreaking.
It would be pretty heartbreaking. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
There's obviously different stages in every person's career. So right now it's cool that you're kind of at that beginning stage and you get to continue and see how much further you get to go. And again, you're already doing such insane things that nobody else has been able to do yet. So who knows, obviously it's limitless, the possibilities. But you did have the opportunity to go compete at the World Championships after the Olympics. So let's talk about that experiences. What were your goals heading into that competition, and how do you think it went for you?
Well, I mean, I say this to probably every person like interview I've done, but my main goal for every competition, I think it's definitely everyone's goal, is to skate clean and skate as best as possible. But I mean, the experiences, I had a lot of fun there, especially it's Vincent and Camden, who was the second alternator who got to go, which I was also pretty shocked. This was 2 days before we had to go, and because I was actually hoping, to have Nathan be there, so like Nathan, Vincent, and then me. But I mean, fortunately, Nathan didn't want to put up with the injury, so then I don't know what the decision was with Jason. So I guess I don't know if he didn't want to go but I mean, it was pretty fun with Camden either way, because again, Camden did a pretty good skate there too.
Absolutely.
So, but I mean, it was interesting. I'll say that it's definitely a lot different than junior, because I mean the hype is a bit bigger, and then you got other crazy athletes, Yuma, Shoma, stuff like that, and so I mean I still can't like think about it. I had fun times, silly times there as well. But also really good, also sad moments too. So I mean, it was just fun, because it wasn't like kind of boring, like, oh, I was just happy the whole time. So it was just like a mix of everything, which made it pretty interesting. I had friends there from junior events also, so I mean, I knew a couple people there from junior. So
yeah, Worlds is definitely a super fun competition. But you were fourth, right, after the short program. So again, received super well, broke 100, right? So again, how did you take that going into the free skate? Did you feel like you kind of had that experience under your belt already from nationals, or did it feel like different because it was an international competition?
I mean, it kind of felt the same, different, because I mean, I was under that same situation at nationals, but it was different because it was a lot bigger. I'd consider Worlds a lot bigger than nationals, because again, international, and there's a lot of good skaters who deserve to go there and try to skate their best. But I mean, I don't know what even happened for the long. I think something happened, and I just still don't know what happened. So
best not to dwell on it and just keep moving forward. Charge it to the game and keep moving forward. After that, you went to Junior Worlds to end the season, and got the gold there. So big congratulations for that title. But yeah, I've never been to Junior Worlds. I went straight to senior in an Olympic year. So how was participating at Junior Worlds after just coming back from a Senior Worlds?
Well, I mean, again, I was, I did the Junior Grand Prix circuit, and then I was, at that age that I was doing junior. So, I mean, it made sense, that after I won both junior circuits, that I would then go to Junior Worlds and then Junior Grand Prix final that got canceled. So, I mean, it made sense, and it was planned to be before Worlds. But I think it was after nationals or sometime after that, they said, it would be, first they thought it would be canceled, like completely canceled. So, I mean, I was like, oh man, this could have been my only chance to go to Junior World and like redeem myself from 2 years ago. But then, they announced that it was going to be in Estonia. Who knew? They have every competition there. I don't know.
They do.
They should host all the Junior Grand Prix circuits for next year there.
Keep it consistent.
They have experience. They have experience. It kind of actually helped out preparing for a Senior World, because at that time if Junior Worlds was going to be, at the same time, then I would have to prepare for junior. And then right after that, start preparing for senior, which is a bit harder. It's longer, and then short has quads. So, I mean, it was a bit easier to prepare because moving from senior to junior, short has triples, and then the long was a bit shorter. So it helped out a bit. And I think that's the main reason why I was pretty excited to go to Junior Worlds. And then from there, I just thought, just try to skate clean. So I did.
You did, and you did it well. I mean, competition is competition regardless of who's competing there or where you're competing. If you come in with your own goals and you achieve them, it's the same feeling. But getting a gold medal doesn't hurt, right? At the end of the day. What a long season, though. So long. Quick turnaround now to next season, right? Are you already it's technically off season, but I know people are already getting choreography done and all of that stuff. Are you already kind of in that process, or are you still kind of waiting and going to start in the summer?
Yeah, no, we're in that process already. I already have music, layout, costume designs. We're getting those right now. And then choreographers, we're hooking up with people to see, because again, this year we kind of want to try different people out, just see what works, what doesn't. And then, I mean, I'm just practicing jumps, spins, everything, just to be prepared for next season.
Yeah. So you're in the fun side of things then right now. That's awesome. Well, an important component of competing and success in this sport is consistency. So how are you approaching that skill? And are there any kind of tricks you use for managing nerves in competition, or, just practicing consistency in general?
I mean, not really. I mean, I guess just skating a lot of programs, like full run throughs, parts. I mean, I guess that's really the only way to overcome your fears of like nerves. But like competition wise, when you're at competition, sometimes I just kind of forget about the nerves and just focus on, just doing this or doing that, like I'll just focus on jumping or like skating skills instead of, letting my mind like, oh, I'm nervous. I'll just be like, it doesn't matter. Just do whatever you need to do.
Awesome. Well, obviously you're really young, and the artistry side of skating for you is going to develop right as you mature. But at this point, as long as you're setting the framework for things like just proper posture and musicality in general, like the rest is going to come in time. And you have everything. So just keep it up, keep working hard. We're excited to watch you. But yeah, it's been quite the year for you results wise. There's been and continues to be a lot of hype surrounding your name. So how do you feel about the hype? And how do you approach your mentality with this type of media attention so early in your career?
I mean, the hype is definitely getting me also kind of hyped and getting me some adrenaline rush, like especially with Instagram, social media, it's kind of like, oh, he's like the hot topic right now. So, I mean, to me, it just makes me, I want to keep being the hot topic. So just, keep improving, keep getting better, doing more insane things. And just for like the media side, that's just how I think of it.
Yeah, that's good.
But again, with all media, you have the good side and then you have the bad side. So, I mean, I do pretty well with the bad side, like the haters and stuff like that. So, I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. So I kind of just, like, oh, that's funny that he said that, just kind of get out of my way.
I mean, it's really important for anybody in a well-known position to be able to take the good and the bad and just like focus. You keep going forward the way that you need to and not pay attention to all the voices around you. But at the same time, it sounds like you like that kind of adrenaline, you like the buzz, and that's great because that's something that helps push you.
But again, I'd say there's like two different types of, like bad things. You have, like the comments that are like, oh, like he could really use work on, like skating skills, that's like obvious, that kind of makes sense. It's not like hurtful. It's just telling the truth and kind of just being like exact and, I take that, like, yeah, I mean, I'll be working on that, like, blah, 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 working on spins or whatever, someone says, but like, there's other comments, that's just like mean and unnecessary. Those I just kind of get out of my way. But it also kind of, makes me, sometimes I think of it, like, so if I get like some comment, I'll just try to like prove them wrong, or just like, I guess, make them even more angry, if that makes sense, because I know it just kind of helps me with progressing in the sport and just makes it fun in the process.
Well, it's always going to be like that. So, you're gonna get to have fun navigating that road for a long time. But amazing. Well, congratulations on landing the first quad axle last week. Let's talk about that for a second. Super insane, super crazy. Good job. The most difficult quad to ever be landed. On top, you've been showing like quad combinations. So you're just kind of on the moon already. What's the deal with that? Are you going to plan to try to put those in programs at some point, or right now is it just for funsies in practice?
I mean, quad combinations are definitely for fun.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's kind of like unnecessary to try it in competitions, even though they're worth a lot. But I mean, it just kind of takes up more of like, like energy and just like mentally, but it also kind of impacts the actual like program itself. Because like, if I were, for example, to do quad-toe, that already takes out the element, like the quads that I can repeat. So then I can't repeat under the quad.
Yeah.
Which it kind of sucks with, if you're gonna go for like an all quad layout. So but I mean, axle, as of right now, I'm planning to have it in my program and with all the rest of the quads. So I'll try to go for a 7 quad layout. But I mean, in this case, we don't know. Again, quad axle, it's pretty difficult. Not that I make it look like easy, but it's kind of difficult, like mentally. I mean, physically, I'd say that it's pretty easy to do, but it's kind of more the mental side. It's kind of like, oh, it's like kind of scary to go into, because I mean, when I try, quad lutz, when I was learning quad lutz, I wasn't like kind of like scared or like nervous. It was just like kind of like do I want to attempt it? But here it's kind of like a whole different story, because like, and then it's like I'm really nervous, and then plus if I had a competition, I'll have like the nerves from trying to land this quad axle to the nerves of just competing in general, which will just like kind of pile up, and then it was just make a big problem. So I mean, right now I'm just kind of doing it for funsies. I mean, like right now it's kind of for like just getting used to it, getting like consistency down, and just being comfortable with attempting the element itself. And then from there, it'll just be easier to do in competition. So
yeah. Well, obviously, if you just landed your first one last week, it's going to take a second to get it comfortable enough to be able to even just consistently try it in your programs, right? Like that's a whole nother hill that you have to cross before you get into competition. But how exciting. That's crazy. How long did it take you to land the quad axle? Like at what point did you start working on it?
Well, I mean, like honestly, I mean, I definitely was ready to land it already after nationals, because my triple axle at that point, it was, like super like floating, like pretty big. And then my rotation was pretty fast at that moment. So I was kind of ready for there. But again, we didn't want to risk getting injured or anything. So we kind of just waited till the season was over. And then from there, I kind of just started practicing a bit more. But sometimes, when I didn't have a competition too close, I'd go with my dad on the pole harness, and he'd just kind of, like be there for support, because he didn't like actually like help me, like lift me, or, like hold me up there. It was kind of more of like, again, mentally to be there, like to support, just to get comfortable with it. And then, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I kind of landed a couple. Like the first axle I posted with the step out, that was my very first attempt. And that was like a pretty good one. And it was kind of just the day I was like, oh, I was like feeling pretty good. And then it was funny because that day, I was trying to do my run through of my program for the new season. I mean, I don't have like an actual program, I just have like jumping layouts, and I just kind of just turn the music on and just try to jump in it, I guess. So I was like, oh, I want to try quad axel. And they're like, you won't. So I was like, I will. And then I went, the first one I did, I was like, kind of over rotate a little bit, and like it was 2-footed. So I like almost went for a quint, I guess. So I was like, oh my God, this is like, I could land it right now. And then went a second time, landed it on one foot, and then stepped out, unfortunately. And then, I was kind of like in the adrenaline rush. So I wanted to try and get it better. And then I got like 2 more attempts before I was, I couldn't do it anymore. And then, I mean, even from there, that was on a Friday. The week after that, I was landing them almost every day. But I mean, they were like, step outs, not pretty good landings. And then at the camp, I landed the first decent one with like illusion checkout. So I mean, I guess I'd count that. But I mean, after that, actually today was the first one I landed like legitly like a really good landing. And then there wasn't any like actual like bad landing. So this was like, today was the first legit like really good one that I landed.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I didn't record it, but I'm pretty sure my rink has a live barn thing, so I'll probably go check on it later, see what it looks like. So
there'll be more, don't worry.
Yeah, I know there'll definitely be more in the future.
That's really awesome. Well, how does it feel to land it to be first? Because like it was a known fact that Yuzu has been trying to land it as well, so there was kind of a race to see who could land it first, and now it's you.
I mean, I took that definitely like, again, how do I say this? Hanyu is like one of the best. He started this trend with just quads and then the quad axle.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, like I don't want to be like too mean about it, but when I saw, Hanyu was attempting it and my axle was pretty good, it's like, oh, I kind of, want to try it and like land it before him, see how that goes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was just practicing, and then, I landed it. So I mean, I guess I'm the first, but I mean, there's other people claiming that he's landed a perfect one in practice, but no one has videoed it or like he's said nothing about it. So I mean, I don't know, but I guess, I mean, I'm technically the first since I have video proof. So
well, I think that the biggest thing will be who lands it first in competition, right? So
yeah, so that's what I'm working towards.
Yeah, well, that's super cool. To kind of finish this off, let's get a little bit more information on who you are as a person outside of skating, right? Who is Ilya? What are your interests and hobbies outside of skating? What do you like to do for fun?
Well, I mean, I think I'm kind of a creative person, so sometimes, draw or just make things. I enjoy doing that.
Nice.
But I mean, also, like as of any normal teenager, social media, video games, stuff like that. I mean, and then I enjoy, soccer, and it's actually a thing that for every competition I go to, I bring a soccer ball because it's my good luck charm. So I always bring a soccer ball because I use it to warm up, and then it's also there as a good luck charm. And then I recently, like a year or two ago, started skateboarding. So that's like another like hobby, I guess, that I actually like kind of want to be good at too. So
skateboarding. Dang.
It sounds
skateboarding
similar.
Scares me. Yeah, but it's different because you're on one board, right? It's not like skating, you have 2 separate feet that you get to control, but this is like, it's different because you have to balance in a different way.
It's kind of different, but I mean, some same concepts apply, like just how you balance. There's pretty similar concept, like tricks and stuff like that. It's kind of similar, but at the same time, it's a lot different because, it's not the same thing. So.
Yeah, true. Well, that's awesome that you get to have some outlets outside of skating to put your energy into. You mentioned earlier that you go to public school. So do you attend school in person then?
Yes, I do.
How is that with skating and your schedule?
Well, I mean, I have like a pretty like my schedule's a bit different from everyone else's. So like as of right now, I probably the max I'll go to school a day is maybe 2 hours. And then from there I'll just the rest of the day I'll be able to leave early and then go to the rink and skate. So because I mean I do like it's kind of like half online, half in person. So after skating, which is usually around like 6 p.m., then I'll go do homework
Got
and
it.
then just
Nice. That's cool that you have the flexibility to be able to do both. Do you like being in person?
I mean, yeah, I like being in person because it's a lot easier. Plus, some of the interactions with all the teachers, they're like, "Oh, wow, we've never like taught a person like this before," and like, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it kind of gives you a taste in a social life as well if you get to be around a ton of other kids your age that don't skate.
But
Yeah.
also, again, I mean, I guess that like I'm not like known at my school. If that makes sense. They think I'm just some normal kid. So
That's the best way to
I
be.
mean, I like it that way because I enjoy it. I mean, a couple of my close friends, know a little bit and not even a lot either. So
Sure. Well, you're in the best boat right now because that means the people who are friends with you because they actually like you as a person and not because you're some, you know,
famous guy,
semi-famous. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. For fun fact on that, I was a sophomore in high school when everything exploded for me, and I felt the social switch immediately when I came back to school, and like everybody knew me, and it was a very, very weird thing to kind of deal with, and having everybody be like, "Oh, that's the skater girl," you know what I'm saying? But it makes it fun too. Do you have any siblings? Or are you an only child?
Yes, I have a very loving 7-year-old sister that I definitely enjoy teaching.
Oh, is she listening right now? Is that why you said that?
No, no, never listens. Never.
That's so funny. Okay, so does your sister skate as well?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, cool. Skating family.
I guess.
Do you like having your sibling skate as well? Or are you kind of like, it's my
I
thing?
mean, yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, but my parents kind of don't want her to skate because
Really?
they had to go through me and they don't want to go through a second version of me. So, I mean,
That's funny. I mean, it's a lot of hard work to put your kid through elite sports. It's a lot of commitment.
but I mean, they're kind of been through this like multiple times with themselves and then just, so I mean, I guess they wouldn't want to like have another person. I guess they want her to like do something
Hmm.
else. So
Does she like skating though? What level is she?
I don't know. Right now she only has her doubles.
Only has her doubles. That's pretty good. All right, last question. Do you have friends that you get to hang out with when you're not skating? And are they skating friends or are they school friends?
I mean, I guess. I mean, I have like a couple of friends that I actually hang out with. I guess most of my friends are kind of like they live in different places, and I just usually like talk to them through like social media or just like
Mm,
other things. But I mean, I have one close friend that also skates and skateboards. So me and him skate at the rink sometimes, and then we also go skateboarding too. So that's pretty fun.
that's awesome. Very cool. Well, it sounds like you're just living a great life right now, doing all the things. Yeah, well, I'm really happy that the US has you as a skater, and I know there's obviously a lot of work to be done this summer preparing for next season, but I'm wishing you the best of luck and most importantly, stay healthy. All
Thank you
right.
so much.
But yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Believe Network.